Hello, is ShadowMuppeteer here, and I'm playing some Space Engineers. And I've been playing a lot of Space Engineers in the last month or two, 3 months or whatever, because this game is amazing. But I wanted to make this video because for all you space pirates out there, like myself, who, when they added the derelict ships floating out of space, the random spawn freighters, um, it was great because we had easy pickings to all these materials that we didn't have before. And then they had to go and add automated turrets, which was not so great for space pirates because now these ships defend themselves. So, for the last couple months, I've been trying to think of a really good way to capture these ships intact so that you can bring them back to your base, so they're not completely destroyed. And I was having a lot of difficulty, so I went through lots of different ship designs. This one, notably, was one of the last ones I tried to be an all-out tank. This is my Eviscerator Mark II. This is the second iteration of ship, and you can see it's pretty battle damaged because the last time I took it out, it didn't do so well, and it also pretty much ripped apart the ship that I was trying to capture. You can see all the engines and stuff are recessed, all the weapons are recessed. Still was not enough for some of the bigger ships. You can see my base up there with our big old carrier, Nath's big old carrier. And we're over at my auxiliary station because the ship I'm going to be using to capture in this video is cannot go near my main base. Because I have automated turrets, and this ship design uses decoy blocks. So this is the ship. This is what I'm calling the Infiltrator. And you're probably asking, but Shadow, you're gonna use a ship without any armor around it to take out something like a military mine layer or a military escort or something like that? Yes, I am, because this ship design does not need armor. Now, using this ship takes a little bit of skill. It's very particular. You have to know You have to know quite a few things about the game to use the ship design. But it has been the most effective way I've found at taking some of those military ships or even civilian ships intact. And then once I take the ships, I bring it over here to my great big ship eater, the eater of ships here, and it grinds them up for me. And then that all gets pumped into this container here, and I can freely take it all the way back to my main base over there. You can't see it because there's so many beacons, but it's called Donut Base Alpha. So anyways, here's our Infiltrator. So this is how the ship works. It has one rocket pod and one Gatling gun. I don't really use the Gatling gun. I just have it there because I only needed one rocket pod and, symmetry. It's quite fast. It has a large engine on the front and back, and then 4 engines for every other direction, 2 gyros, which makes it plenty maneuverable, and a large reactor because of the large engines. Now, these merge blocks all have a decoy on them, and the idea is that you get up to cruising speed behind whatever you're going to capture, release, you basically match speeds behind it. Then you go to a speed that is gaining on it, only slightly. You don't want to go too fast, maybe 5 meters faster than it's going, or maximum 10 meters faster than it's going, because you don't want the decoys all past the ship before you're done doing what you're doing. So when you get up to that speed where you're gaining on it, you release the decoys, and then when you're about 700 meters out, you just give it a little wiggle. You just pitch it a little bit. And that's going to send all the decoy blocks into different directions. And the idea is to create this huge cloud of decoy blocks that the ship will shoot at, other than your own ship. So now, to prove that this concept works, I'm going to go look for a ship. So I do have random spawn ships on. I see a mining transport out there. That's not the best. It's not exactly what I want to get, and I forgot I had to do some repair. I had to alter this design a little bit, so doesn't have its name. Alright, I believe that's how you spell Infiltrator, and always crank this up for ships that you're taking out of your base, just in case. So I believe in the video I'll probably cut here, and then I'll be back with you in a second when something more enticing than a mining transport shows up. Alright. We have a military mine layer. And an enhanced field of view, because I had it turned down for some reason. Alright, so we're going to jam on over there. So we want to get to about 1,000 meters away from the ship, because that's kind of the sweet spot. We need a little bit of room to run up, and the Gatling gun's going to start firing at about 500. The rocket pods are going to start firing at about like 300 or something like that. And we're not going to have a big window before all the decoys fly past the ship for us to do what we need to do. So this is the part of where a lot of skill comes in, because you need to be able to pilot very delicately and be able to position rockets very with a lot of precision. Be able to fire rockets with a lot of precision. I'm not sure if I said that right the first time. So yeah. This is not a I push a button and get a ship sort of tactic. This is simply a tactic I find that works really well in taking some of these bigger ships. This is my survivor world. I'm doing this not in creative mode, but in survivor mode, because no method is a good method unless you can do it in survivor mode, because there's no point in getting scrap unless you're in survivor mode. I don't think that needs to be said, but it's worth saying. Okay, at this stage, I'm going to start kind of strafing. I probably should have started strafing a little sooner. So I'm going to actually shoot off one direction so I don't get too close to it in this process. There we go. We're just going to orbit around it. Now, it's probably going to make it kind of difficult because all my beacons are kind of in the way. But we will soldier on through that. Okay, let's get behind it. Try and match speeds with it as best we can. I'm going to turn on my dampener so I can start going the proper direction. There we go. Luckily, this ship speeds up and stops very quickly, and that was the idea with part of its design. Also, it is basically a tube, which makes it a much smaller target. There we go. And we seem to be relatively behind it, and we are way too close. Let's let it get away a little bit, while we can kind of position ourselves so that I can see its distance. That'd be very helpful. All right, there we go. Dampeners off, and we go forward and match speed. There we go. We've matched speed with it roughly. So the next thing we're gonna do is get up to speed. We're going to kind of charge it and then release the cloud, which is turning off all of those merge blocks. So let's go ahead and do that. Fortunately, I have lost its distance has disappeared. All right, there we go. There, come on, there we go. All right, so let's come on, jam forward at a good speed. And then turn off these decoy blocks. And I'll go in third person so you can see this. You just kind of want to wiggle. There we go. Get those things out. And then back up a little bit. There we go. And I turned off all those beacons so we can have an easier time of this. There we go. We have our cloud moving forward. And as soon as it starts firing, we will engage. We need to kind of wait till it gets a little closer, because we need it. There we go. We should be good now. Oh, we're getting rocket fire. Let's try and maneuver to keep away from those rockets. Start firing some missiles. There we go. And we are in. Now, that was pretty sloppy. However, we can get down a little bit. Come on. There we go. And we're locked in. We're locked in, and we have not destroyed the ship. Now, that was a very sloppy way to do it. I don't usually ram it like that. However, this is a military mine layer, and this is one of the toughest ships to take intact. So now this next part, it's very, very important to get to a console. because well, first of all, let me get in here and make sure my dampeners are off. That's very important. Yep, dampeners are off. My dampeners are off. And let's start carving into this thing. We need to get to a console. Oh, perfect. It's a carving container right here. I did not know that, as a matter of fact. That's very lucky. So we want to get into the carving container, go to control panel, and we're going to find the Gatling turrets. And we're going to turn them all off. We're going to find the missile turrets, and we're going to turn them all off. And we're going to find any internal, we're drifting away just slightly. We're going to find any internal turrets. Let's see. Are there any? There don't seem to be any internal turrets on this one. I guess just the military escort has internal turrets. But our job isn't done, because anyone who has ever taken a military mine layer will tell you that, see, all these are off. We can freely fly around. It's a beautiful thing. Anyways, anyone who's ever taken one of these will tell you that there is they're booby-trapped. Well, the way they booby-trap these is they put a thruster pointing at one of the bombs. And now if I go to the back of this thing, I don't have a lot of time before this thing despawns, so I don't want to waste too much time. But if we go to the back of this thing, you'll see that it is in fact full of warheads. So, ooh, and a lot of lag right there. So let's go ahead and just carve our way on into the ship. This is probably not the best way into the ship. Unfortunately, I've only captured one of these ships before, and I don't know the layout that well. So we are going to have to kind of have a look around. I'm guessing that's a bit of just a joining there. Let's see, I wonder if we can get in this way. Nope. That is just for ammo, it looks like. Oh, that other one must be for the ammo, for the one I shot off. How on earth are we getting into this thing? These are interior blocks right here, and it's very soft, so I'm going to go ahead and just punch through this, because it should reveal the inside of the ship. There we go. There we go. Alright, so we have some gravity that's not on. Don't want to turn that on. And we want to sit in the cockpit so that we can make sure it doesn't despawn. Oh, there's the exit. Alright, well that's good to know. It's by the conveyors. Please don't kill me. Ship. Glitchy ship. Please do not kill me. Alright. So we got our gravity here. That's the way we came in. What's down there? Aha! Here we go. Another door. This might be the cockpit, hopefully. Let's open that up. There we go, cockpit. That's very important, as anyone who's taken one of the ships will know. You do not want to turn on the inertial dampers right away. Now, with the military escort, you can just turn off all the small thrusters, and you're good to go. However, this one primarily uses small thrusters. So the best way I've found to do it is to just count them. 1, 2, let's see, it's 2 on that side, it's 4 on that side, it's 4 on that side, it's 8. What happened? Oh, okay. 8, plus another 8 is 16. Plus another 3. Is that 3? Yeah, that's 3. Plus another 3 is 19. And then there's only 2 at the back, which is very strange. It's 21. 21 small thrusters. We're not counting the large thrusters, just the small thrusters. So now what we're going to do, not touching the mouse so it doesn't move, open up the control panel and look at all the small thrusters. It's 22. There's one thruster pointed at a bomb. Now identifying this thruster can be pretty difficult. Because it's kind of a process of trial and error. Just have to like turn thrusters off, or you can turn them all off and use your other ship, which I believe is what I'm going to do this time, just to get it stopped, and then I'll go looking for that thruster. Here we go. Here we go. And we have everything off. Now, I believe the way the game works, since I've sat in the seat, that means the ship will not despawn, but I am going to stop it now. And hopefully it won't despawn. I don't think you have to turn on the dampeners to keep it from despawning. I think you just have to sit in it. I mean, somebody can correct me if I am just blatantly wrong. Let's turn the dampeners here, and hopefully this will very slowly start to slow it down. Oh, and it can't, because this guy's broken. Conundrum. Well, it is going in a straight line, so I think what we will do is just fire up the front thrusters, which should be 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. That's generally a pretty good method of doing it. Turn them all off and then turn them on one at a time, as opposed to turning them off one at a time. Here we go. Alright, so I believe there's going to be thruster 1 and 2. So let's turn on thruster 1 and 2. Yes. Now let's turn on them dampeners. And we should slow to a halt, just as we're coming up on my asteroid field. This is not a very well designed ship. It turns very well, it seems. It has 2 large thrusters on the sides, but 2 for stopping. A third that is, I guess I turned that off. Alright, and we're not quite stopped, but we're going very slowly, so let's do the arduous task of figuring out which thruster is the one pointed at the bomb. Turn on small thruster 3. What turned on? That's upward thrust, and then 21 should be the other upward thrust, I am hoping. Yeah, okay, so we have all thrusters back on, so 22 is the bomb thruster. We're just going to mark it as such. Let's do booby trap thruster. 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 Everything looks strange when it's in caps. Alright, there we go. So now, this thing has very few gyros. But now we can bring it back to our eater of ships and chop it up, and we will get the most materials. Or we can use it, we can just use it as our ship. I would add more gyros to this, though. This is ridiculous. And another military escort. Oh, that would have been fun to take. But the mine layer, I have never taken one of these intact, even before the days of automated turrets. So I'm very happy that I took this intact. Even at the even though my ship got slightly damaged in the process, it was a successful mission. This is one of the hardest ships to take. I would say maybe the military escort slightly harder, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Two braking thrusters is not enough. Not enough thrusters. All right, so let's get out of this monstrosity. All right, here we go. So that wraps up my video on my Infiltrator design and tactics for taking larger military ships or even civilian ships if that's what you want to take. And I think it's a pretty effective design. I've tried lots of different ways to take ships, from big ships to small ships to, using decoys on helicopter type blades and stuff like that, and none of them seem to work quite as well as this sort of cloud decoy design. You kind of drift in with the rubbish and they try and shoot everything down but you, because the AI does prioritize decoys. For the bigger military ships, I might want to add a couple more sort of blocks of decoys, because it did aim at me pretty. I had a very small window. Yeah, it did start aiming at me there at the end, which is not ideal at all. So it has some room for improvement, but it has two things going for it. It has a big payload of decoys, or maybe flares, if you will, and it also has a very small. It's a very small target when you're actually charging at a ship. So notice when the missiles did start firing, I was able to avoid them pretty effectively. But yeah, that's it for me. If you guys have any comments about improvements for the style, or these sort of tactics, or any other methods for taking the military type ships and getting lots of scrap out of it, and generally just being a space pirate, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear about them. And yeah, take care.